Well, a blessed Sabbath, a very blessed Saturday afternoon, coming to you from a very hot and muggy Southwest Florida. This is Dr. Samuel O. Kirkland, Sr., President and founder of Shepherd's Care Fellowship and Shepherd's Care College, formerly known as Shepherd's Care Bible College. I would like to come to you today with another short message. Nevertheless, I hope that it is an impacting message that will bless you in the sense that it will give you another perspective of the times in which we are living. So I invite you to have an open mind to this short podcast and to receive it or dismiss it based on your preference. But I want to share with you that today, my brothers and my sisters, it is not nationalism, folks, but indeed it is a form of tribalism. In other words, it's tribalism, folks, not nationalism. I want to open up by saying that a former president of these United States, better known as POTUS, recently was quoted as having said that he, and not quoting verbatim, was quite concerned that maybe enough was not done during his administration to better explain the situation where we are as a republic, especially when it refers to the interaction of races in this republic. Maybe the president was saying here, we missed the mark, and that we did not truly think through all of our program initiatives, and to do something that I've always advocated. Before you can legislate, you've got to educate. Pun intended. Before there is legislation, there must be education. And so, even today, from my perspective, we're not doing a very good job of educating the masses on the fact that tribalism truly trumps nationalism. No pun intended, because I would not give any kind of credence to this person who remains unnamed throughout my podcast. But anyone who have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a mind to believe will see that we are on a very, very dangerous course. We're in some very troubled waters, probably territory that this republic has never been into before, in that the entire spectrum of law and order has been drastically overlooked, and the rule of law is not the rule today. But suffice it to say, that's another message for another time. But today I want to talk about the fact that it is not nationalism, folks, but it really is a matter of tribalism. Tribalism is another form of saying survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest. This phrase was originated by Charles Darwin. the Darwinian evolutionary theory as a way of describing the mechanism of natural selection. Natural selection. This is a biological concept, folks, of fitness, which is defined as reproductive success. Let me say that again. The biological concept of fitness, survival of the fittest, is defined as a reproductive success. And I've read that in Darwin's terms, the phrase is best understood. Survival, if you will, is a form of biology that will leave the most copies of itself in successive generations. Successive generations. The fittest. The survival of the fittest. It's a term, it's a mechanism that speaks about natural selection or the preservation of favor. Favor in races or favored races in the struggle of life. We call it today racism. We call it racism because indeed that is exactly what it is, folks. It's a form of racism. It's a form of prejudices that is in this republic today that is preventing us from moving forward as a society that's built upon many different races, many different creeds, many different religious beliefs, and many different genders and sexual preferences, if you will. I'm not advocating any of the above, but nevertheless, it is part of a melting pot society that we profess to the world as being a place where all of your tired and persecuted people may come and find rest, to find liberty and justice for all. This is the message that this republic sends out to the world. But indeed, the question is it truly a true message, or is it a lie? Let us examine first and foremost nationalism. Nationalism is a political, social, and economic system that is characterized by promoting the interests of a particular nation, particularly with the aim of gaining and maintaining self-governance or full sovereignty over the group's homeland. In other words, everything should be centered around what is good for the nation. It's a political ideology. I like to say that it is an outline of things that we would love to see done as the national identity of this land which we all share, a land that has been given to us by the Most High, the Supreme High's energy creator. This land is our land, not their land, not your land, but it's our land. And if we should look upon this land, and if we shall base our national identity on shared characteristics such as culture, language, race, religion, political goals, or a belief in a common ancestry. That's the problem. We all want to think that we are different, never realizing that we are all from one common ancestry. One man, one woman. The whole world exists today on earth as a result of one union between man and woman, and everything else that has evolved from those two entities on the face of this planet. You know, nationalism, much to my chagrin, also involves a sense of pride in the nation's achievements. And it is closely linked to the concept of patriotism. Saints, in some cases, my brothers and my sisters, nationalism is referred, if you will, to the belief that a nation should be able to control the government, and that all means of reproduction can be controlled under the norm of one nation. One nation. And all too often, we hear one nation under God, indivisible, can't be divided, if you will, for everyone. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is that still true today? Or are we seeing an autocratic movement in this republic that is truly blotting out the intended purpose of one nation under the divine creator for all? Yes, it is important, I would agree, for those who subscribe to nationalism and would want to think that everything is happening today is predicated on nationalism, that nationalism does have a national symbol, and those symbols, rather plural, should and will include the flags, the national anthems, the national languages, national myths, and other symbols of national identity. They are highly important in nationalism. But are they true? Does the national emblem, or anthem rather, represent all of the people? Does the language include all people? Are there national myths about certain heroes in this nation that weren't heroes at all? And other symbols, national symbols or identities, if they are true or if they are false. In my humble way of trying to summarize nationalism, I may not done a very good job. I may be like former President Obama. Maybe I've not done a good job of preparing you all for this short podcast, this sharing moment, something to think about. But it is sincerely my desire that for these 15 minutes or 30 minutes at the very most, that you will have something to open up a dialogue, debate, if you will, on what are we really striving for. Are we retreating back to the cave of our own tribes? Or are we trying to go forward and work through our tribal differences